Okay, I'm reviewing season 1, episode 5 of Blue Eye Samurai. Spoiler alert. I really like the depth of these shows. It's unbelievable. Like you don't really see. I haven't really watched a lot of shows with this kind of depth consistently in a series. Again, this is the 5th episode of what's going to be 8 episodes. I can't believe it's already almost over. But and it's funny with this one. There's like 3 plot lines. Well, there's like 2 plot lines and 3. The plot lines are exhibited 3 different ways. Anyway, there's a puppet show, which that's speaking lightly. This is like the most impressive, detailed puppet show I've ever seen in my life. Japanese version of a puppet show, but it basically parallels another plot line. And then there's the what I guess is the current main plot line, which I'll go through first. I have a hard time going back and forth, so I try to go linearly through each plot line. So this show ended, episode 4 ended with the Thousand Claws of Boss Hamada surrounding Madame Enji's, I think Enji's brothel, because of course, in the last episode, Misu had gone in and killed the young lady for Madame Enji. Boss Hamada found out who it was. Misu came after her. So it started just like you figured it would. Misu sliced up a couple of them and then got inside, blocked the door, told the ladies to hide. Madame Enji is like, you just killed us all. You just murdered us all. But they all go down into this, looks like a basement. And they bar another door. And she has her guy, man, why can't I think of his name? Ringo, stand outside to guard it. And Akemi, of course, is there as well. Akemi comes out with Ringo, and she has like the baddest line of the movie, of the show, I'm sorry. She comes out and to defend them. And, Ringo says something to her, but she basically says, to the effect, she says, if I've been a prisoner all my life, if I die today, I'm going to die free. I was like, wow, that was awesome. But she has this little baby knife. Ringo was handed a kitchen knife. She tells, Misu gives Ringo a kitchen knife, says, start with a kitchen knife, just like her master told her when she was making knives. Start with a kitchen knife. So it's a nice throwback. Anyway, they're down there. Misu's up top. And of course, guys break in, and she systematically slices them up. A couple of them come down and find Ringo and Akemi guarding the door. And Ringo and Akemi actually handle them. It was kind of luck. One of them went after Akemi. Ringo sliced off a couple of fingers. The show is very fond of slicing off fingers, kind of like George Lucas is like slicing off hands. But a couple of fingers got sliced off. And then the guy comes after Ringo, and he kind of falls into Ringo and falls on the kitchen knife, and he dies. And then the other guy comes after Ringo, and Akemi stabs him in the neck, and he dies. So they fended those guys off. Anyway, so they do that. Then, Misu is kind of systematically hiding, fighting. And at one point, she gets stabbed with one of those 4 claw things that all the Thousand Claws guys have, and she's in bad shape at this point. At one point, she's down, and Akemi actually comes to save her. And then Akemi's like, wake up, and it takes Misu a while, but Misu finally wakes up. And she basically finishes off the rest of the guys, tells Akemi to go, and she finishes them all off. And when they're done, at the end, they're outside. And Misu brings Boss Hamada to Madame Enji and the rest of the people. And Madame Enji puts on the claw, or Kenji, I can't remember her name, I'm sorry, puts on the claw and guts the dude. And the episode actually ends, and there's a lot more to go, but I got to get through this first. The episode actually ends with Akemi, the people are coming to get Akemi. Her father's men have found her. Now, Misu's still hurt, but Misu, just fought off a whole bunch of soldiers. And, there was the biggest part, right before that happens, Misu tells Akemi to go. And she has the door blocked. There's a ton of soldiers trying to get through the door to the outside to get to her. The door's blocked. There's a bunch of soldiers on the outside as well. They end up collapsing the door on her and kind of stomping on her. And that's going to come back. There was a really, really cool juxtaposition that they show with what's going to happen with Kimmy, not Kimmy, Misu, who's having a flashback this entire episode. She's being crushed by this door. And it's like, 20, 30, maybe, people coming at her. And she ends up sliding out, getting a knife, chopping off a couple of legs, and then she whips them all. She gets them all. And that's when she goes and gets Basamada. And Madame Kinji, whatever her name is, tells her, you're more man than anybody who's ever come through here. Anyway, Kimmy's father's soldiers come. And Akemi is like, you're not going to take me. And she has her knife. She kind of lunges at one of them. I think she cuts him a little bit. Not bad. He keeps his fingers. And then she's like, come on, Misu, help me out. And Misu looks and says, take her. I was blown away. I was like, what? No, you can't do this to Misu. No. To Kimmy. No. Akemi. So Akemi goes off. Ringo's pissed. Ringo's like, you can't do this. And Misu says she's better off. And Ringo is like, you're no samurai. And Misu said, I told you I wasn't a samurai. I'm not a samurai. This is revenge for me. I don't have time for loving somebody and being nice and having friends. I'm trying to get revenge and have somebody to kill. So Ringo, the bell that Misu tied to around Ringo's ankle a few episodes ago so she could hear him coming because she kept bumping into him. He took off and handed it to her, and then she walked away, and Ringo didn't follow, so we're about to see how that happens. That's how the episode ended. Well, that was one of the last things that happened in the episode. As far as Misu, that's how it ended. She's walking away, and Ringo is not coming with her. So we'll see if that continues or if Ringo ends up following her. Now, the deeper plot line, which I did not see coming, they show Misu earlier in her journey, where she wasn't as impressive fighter, and she goes into this bar asking for information, and she ends up getting stabbed and thrown out. So she's walking around trying to get help, and she bumps into this madam who offers to take her to heaven or whatever, Madam turns around, and it's her mom. What? Her mom's alive, so all the stuff that they went through, the mom somehow survived. And mom takes her, patches her up, says, the gods brought you back to me or whatever. And Misu was like, you can't keep doing this, can't keep being a madam. You're my mom, this is not going to work, And she's like, I need the money, So then she's like, I found a solution, though. I found a man who will marry you. And she's mom's kind of terrible because she's like, he's an outcast just like you are, so he's in a position to care about what your face looks like or whatever. They really, really lean into this blue eye thing, like they really make Misu out to be a monster. So Misu's like, I'm nobody's husband. I'm not about to do this. I'm about to marry somebody. I don't care who it is, And so mom was like, okay, well, I'm going back to the brothel. And she said, we need money. And the difference between us is I'll do anything for you. So the next thing, Misu is getting cleaned up to get married because it's like mom guilt tripped her. That was rough. So she ends up going and meeting the guy. She's kind of cold to the guy. I thought she was going to kill the guy the first night. He seems nice enough, even though when he saw her, he was like, you aren't as hideous as I thought you were going to be. And she says, well, you're older than I thought you were going to be, So, she's still showing her spirit. Anyway, they're in their room. She's laying down with her back to him with a sword in her hand. he grabs a mat and he says, "I'm not." He doesn't say monster. It's something along those lines, though. You know, I'm not a brute, I think he said. And then he takes his mat to the other side of the room and lays down and doesn't, you know, mess with her. He's not trying to get on her or anything or have sex with her. So they go on, and you know, they're getting to know each other. Misu's a terrible cook. They end up laughing about it after a while, but the mom is there, and because the whole thing about the mom was, "I found you a husband that'll take care of you and me." So she was relying on Misu, and that's the culture, you know, relying on Misu to marry this guy. So anyway, they're going on, and he has a horse that he's trying to break. Can't break it. Misu wants to train the horse, and Misu ends up getting very close to the horse. And it's a cool scene where they're getting closer, and because he had said he hoped he would find the perfect animal to give to the Lord because he's an outcast, that the Lord will take the animal and then take him back, and he'll be welcomed back. So Misu says, after they've, you know, gotten the horse in a good place, she says, "This horse will be perfect for your plan to, you know, get back in the Lord's good graces." And he says, "This horse is too good for a lord. This is your horse." Awesome scene. Misu's falling in love with this guy. She kisses him. They have this whole making love scene. And then they have the whole making love scene. And then he goes, then he tells her, "I want to know you, the real you." So she's talking about, she's kind of hidden the fighting side of her. There was a part where he uses a knife to cut an apple out of a tree, and she pretends she can't do it. But you know what she's doing with knives, right? What? Anyway, okay. So she ends up fighting him and showing out. Like he's like, "Oh no, this is not what I expected." And then at the end of the fight, she beats him, and then she kisses him. He looks at her, and he says, "You are a monster," and kicks her off of him. I'm like, come on. Anyway, that really upset me. So next thing we see is Misu is trying to get back in his good graces, so she paints her face up. She's trying to be the perfect bride for him. She paints her face up, and she gets all made up for him, you know, to present herself to him. They show this at the same time. Misu, in current time, is getting crushed by the weight of the door of the 1,000 claws on top of the door, crushing her when she's trying to get out and save the brothel. It was an unbelievably perfect juxtaposition because the weight of the makeup and the dress crushing her as she's trying to be the bride that she doesn't even want to be, compared to her actually being crushed. I thought that was an unbelievable thing that the writer did. That's like perfect, well done. Anyway, going back to the story, she comes out, and there are some troops there ready to kill her. And obviously somebody ratted her out. She's, they're like, she's a demon, kill the demon, because of course they've been trying, she was supposed to be killed because she's, there's no white people allowed, and she's a blue-eyed demon person, according to the show. So her guy comes, her husband, from behind her. Looks like he's coming to save her or to fight with her, and then he takes off. So she fights the dudes, kills them all, because it's Misu. That's what she does. And then her mom comes out, and the guy comes out, and they're basically going back and forth. Because she tells her husband, you did this. I can't believe you ratted me out. And she actually says it like she's pissed and holding that sword. You don't want to. Anyway, he's like, no, it was probably your mom. Yeah, because there was a scene earlier where her mom needed some drugs, and they were trying to get her off of them. She was on opium, and they were trying to get her to get off of them. They wouldn't give her the money to get more. So he's like, your mom needed some more opium, so she probably got the drugs through trading you. And she's like, no, I'm your mother. I love you. It was probably him. So they end up in a physical struggle. Misu walks away. He kills the mom. And then he comes toward Misu as Misu's walking away, and he's like, I love you. She takes a knife and flips it backwards and kills him and walks away. So the whole puppet show is basically acting out an anonymous version of that story. It's the Ronin and the Bride, and you're seeing these puppets play it out as you see Misu go through this with her husband. Cannot believe she was married, but it does explain a lot of her anger and rage. So at the end of the puppet show, you end up finding out the way they did this. The person who put on the puppet show was the person who married Akemi, or was her father, or whoever. I think it was her father. I can't tell if that dude was her father or it was the dude she ended up marrying. But she's an Edo, so I think it's the dude she ended up marrying. And Akemi, they asked her about it, and she's the one who did the puppet show, and then she says, well, actually, you missed one thing, because the person who ends up doing all the killing in the puppet show is considered a monster. To call it a Noye or something like that. Anyway, she basically is like, I looked in the eyes of a real version of what we showed in the puppet show, and that person had no capacity for love or anything. And of course, Akemi's still upset because Misu let her go. I think Misu really thought that Akemi was better off going and getting married and having that kind of a life versus the slasher life that Misu was living. But the episode was very well done. They weaved the puppet show, Misu's actual marriage, and Misu escaping Boss Hamada and the Thousand Claws all together. And it just was immaculately done. It's probably my favorite episode so far. Unbelievable the way they weave those three stories together. I like to write myself, and when you have multiple stories and you have to weave them like that, it's unbelievably difficult. And they did a masterful job of weaving those the stories of this episode together. And now again, we're trying to see, is there any more from Akemi? Is Taigen dead? Is Ringo going to follow Misu? Where does she go next? I was half expecting the puppet show to have been put on by Abuja Fowler. I'm very curious to see how that goes, because obviously that's who Misu is trying to kill right now. She's already killed one of the white men. He's next. She doesn't. I don't think she even knows which one is her father. So Abuja Fowler could legitimately be her father, and she not know it. Anyway, very good episode. Very long review. My apologies, and cannot wait for episode 6.